Hello everyone, my name is Olivia, and today I'm going to mix together two of my favorite things, which are books and movies. And I'm going to do the if you like this movie, read this book type of video, where I recommend you books that are related to certain movies that I love, and it's going to be an all-around great time because not only do you get book recommendations, but movie recommendations as well. So let's get right into it with the first movie that I have to talk about. So if you have seen Under the Tuscan Sun, which is a wonderful, wholesome movie about a woman who moves to Italy, buys a villa, and renovates it to start a new life in Italy, then you would love Bella Figura by Kamin Mohammadi. This follows the same type of vein as Under the Tuscan Sun, where Kamin decides to quit her job in the UK and move to Italy for a year. So this memoir is split into 12 parts for each month of the year, and we follow Kamin as she makes new friends, learns to cook a bunch of different Italian dishes, and finds some romance along the way while she is staying in Italy. And this is very similar to Under the Tuscan Sun because it's a very slow moving novel. There's not a lot to it, but it follows a woman who changes her whole entire life and decides to move to Italy to start anew. This is one of my favorite nonfiction books that I have ever read because I love travel memoirs. I love learning about people's journeys to different countries where they meet new people, fall in love, and fall in love with a new culture. So if you're a fan of Under the Tuscan Sun, I would highly recommend reading Bella Figura next. Or if you have not seen Under the Tuscan Sun, go watch that movie. It's really wholesome and cute and gives you some beautiful looks at Italy. And highly recommend this one as well. If you love the classic movie starring Audrey Hepburn, which is Roman Holiday, then you would love Somewhere Only We Know by Maureen Gu. This is actually a canon Roman Holiday retelling set in Hong Kong following a K-pop star and a paparazzi. And this follows the same storyline as Roman Holiday, which follows a princess who is staying in Rome and decides to leave her responsibilities for a night and hang out with a news reporter for a day and just explore Rome and try new things and forget her responsibilities for a while. But the trick is, for both stories, is that these famous women don't know that they are hanging out with a journalist who are hoping to report on their day that they spent with these very famous figures. So there's a lot of drama to these stories, and I think Maureen Gu did a wonderful job at retelling Roman Holiday. It's one of my favorite old Hollywood movies of all time, so I'm so happy that she translated it so beautifully into a YA contemporary romance that is not only just fun, lighthearted, but also speaks about some very serious topics like the darker side of the K-pop world and what it means to have anxiety when you are a very famous person in the spotlight and following your dreams. It's such a well-rounded YA contemporary, so if you have not read that book yet, I would highly recommend it, especially if you love Roman Holiday. And if you are looking for an old Hollywood movie to watch, Roman Holiday is one of my favorites of all time. The next recommendation I have for you is going to be a movie that I don't think a lot of people have seen before, and it is Waves. Waves stars one of my favorite actors of all time, Sterling K. Brown, and it follows a family in the suburbs as their lives are falling apart at the seams, and they are trying to put the pieces back together after a tragedy strikes their household. Waves is a hard-hitting contemporary novel, really exploring the dynamics of a family and the secrets that each child has. So if you're a fan of a familial type of exploration, you have to read Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng. This is one of my favorite adult fictions of all time. It explores a family after tragedy strikes and they are all grieving the loss of Lydia, who was the daughter of this family. She was the favorite child of the parents and she had a lot of secrets to hide. So we follow this family as they are grieving Lydia and they are all dealing with grief in a different way. I love when media just dives deep into the complexities of a family and the different dynamics that are woven into it and the secrets that each family member can hide, and I think that Waves did it so beautifully. It was raw, it was restless, and it reminded me a lot of Celeste Ng's writing style. So if you have read this book and you want to watch a movie that's somewhat similar to it, Waves is a powerful movie that had me absolutely sobbing by the end. It's not similar to the storyline at all to Everything I Never Told You, so don't think that it's going to explore like the same type of tragedy. It's very different tragedies, but they're both very impactful, and I loved the way that they were explored in a very similar way, but also very different. So Great recommendations all around, but get ready to cry if you were to read this book or if you were to watch that movie, because that movie, I can't talk about it. If you're a fan of the aesthetics of the latest Great Gatsby adaptation, you have to read The Diviners by Libba Bray. One, I just have to say, because I always have to say it, the Great Gatsby retelling, I think the 2013 version, I don't remember the year, is fantastic. I think the clothing is beautiful. The setting is just ridiculous and over the top and really portrays the ridiculousness of this book. The acting is superb, and I think they translated the story so well. The Diviners is also set during the 20s. It's a YA horror historical fiction series that just recently finished, so if you want to marathon the entire series, now is your chance. While The Diviners is not as opulent as The Great Gatsby, the 20s vibes and the history that is woven into the series is absolutely superb. Libba Bray really highlights the darker side of American history throughout this series, and I love it so much. I just love how she really breaks apart the like shimmering facade of the 20s and shows the darker sides of it, which is exactly what The Great Gatsby does. So I feel like they have the same vibe, but they're both very different because that is like a contemporary story and this is like horror, and it's like creepy. There are ghosts, there are people with powers. It's so good. You have to read The Diviners. I want more people to read it. I think it's such a good series, and I just love the characters in them. I think they're all so fantastic. It follows such a big cast of characters, and it's just such an underrated series. This one is going to be my only show recommendation, and I didn't want to change the title of it because this is the only show recommendation I have for this video, and it is if you love the show Fleabag, which follows a woman named Fleabag who is dealing with the loss of her best friend while she is trying to find her place in the world, that I watched in 2 days, and it is absolutely fantastic. It is full of dark humor, it is full of grief, it is full of messiness. Fleabag is just such a messy and raw character that I absolutely relate to. I feel like if you are in your 20s and you are feeling lost and you don't really know your place in the world, you have to watch Fleabag because it is so relatable to the way that Fleabag is grieving, the way that she just feels completely lost in the world, and the way that she is dealing with her family that she's not that close to. There are so many different aspects to Fleabag that I absolutely adore, and it also has a lot of funny moments because all these characters are ridiculous, and that's what really brings this dark comedy to life. So if you love that show, you have to read Queenie. Queenie is very similar to Fleabag in the way that we follow a 20-something as she is dealing with her broken family, her broken relationships, her teetering friendships, and her job. This is one of the most raw portrayals of a 20-something-year-old that I have ever read about. It's dark, it's messy. Queenie is not a perfect character. She is, I would say, somewhat unlikable because she has so many things that she's dealing with that not a lot of people would enjoy to read about. But I think if you're also in your 20s and you don't really know what you're going to do with life, Queenie and Fleabag are just relatable, and they give you some comfort because it reminds you that you're not alone and a lot of people are feeling the same way, and they're dealing with a bunch of different things and juggling so many pieces of life together at the same time. I feel like a lot of media can glamorize your 20s and make it seem so effortless and beautiful and like there's no issues that you face. But in your 20s, you're dealing with so many different things. You are starting new careers, you are meeting new people, you are exploring your family as an adult, and I think that Queenie and Fleabag do that perfectly, and it's just so good. Also, I don't know if I said that Fleabag was in her 20s. She might be in her 30s, but both of these things are so good. And lastly, if you love The Lighthouse as much as I do, one of A24's best films in my opinion, then you would love The Lamplighters. This is something that I recently read and was recommended by someone on TikTok. I wish I could remember the TikTok because I would have loved to link it down below, but I looked through my liked list and I just could not find the video. I feel like I didn't like it, but this is a book that was recommended to me by TikTok. It's my first TikTok book. and it was fantastic. It is a historical fiction loosely based off of a true story where three men were working in a lighthouse in the 1900s or the 1800s, and they mysteriously disappeared without a trace, and nobody has been able to find out what happened to them. So we follow that unsolved mystery in this historical fiction that kind of twists the story on its head. So we follow the three lamplighters who work at the lighthouse, and we get to see their secrets, and we get to see their lives as they live in the lighthouse and the tension that is brewing. But then in the future, we follow their wives and girlfriends as they are dealing with the disappearance of these three men, and they are trying to navigate their new life without them, but also kind of discuss this disappearance amongst each other. If you are a fan of the lighthouse and the creepy aspect of living in such a remote area and the tension that can brew between lamplighters, then you would love this book so much. It explores the complexities of working in a lighthouse. It explores these three families as they are interconnected over time, and drama unfurls and people are revealing different things that they have hidden for years, and it is just such a drama-filled book that took its time to unfold, and it was a bit slow in the middle and I was kind of losing interest, but the end of the story really makes it for me, and I absolutely loved it. I think it's because I'm really biased and I loved The Lighthouse and I just wanted anything that would remind me of The Lighthouse. But I just love the way that this author took this unsolved mystery, turned it into something completely her own, and explored the grief that these women face, while also exploring what it was like to work in a lighthouse with three men who don't really like each other, who all come from very different backgrounds, and there is a lot of things brewing underneath the surface for both of these timelines, and they mix together so beautifully. And I think it's a very underrated book because I have never heard of it before I saw it on TikTok, so I think that this would be a good read to recommend because I don't see it anywhere else, and I want to recommend it to you all. If you have not seen The Lighthouse and you want to be scared, and you want to see one of the weirdest things you'll probably ever see, watch The Lighthouse. Any A24 movie is likely to make you scream, "What the fuck?" But that one is very special. And it's one of my favorites because it is so twisted and just very experimental. That's all I can say. So those are some book and movie recommendations. So if you liked this movie, then go read those books. Or if you liked those books and you've read them before, go watch those movies. I would love to make a part 2 of this, but do know it's going to take me a long time because it's very difficult to relate certain books to the movies that I see. And let me know if you have any other recommendation videos that you want me to do in the future, whether it be movie recommendations or book recommendations. I would love to take your video ideas into account. If you have not followed me on Instagram, where I share what I'm currently reading all the time on my stories, be sure to do so. If you want to follow me on Letterboxd, which is essentially Goodreads for movies, I will be sure to link that down below because I have a fun time on Letterboxd. It's a great way to see what your friends are currently watching or what other people are watching and to get a lot of different recommendations. So if you have not heard about the app before, I will be sure to link my profile down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye!